Hello again, it's Noob, and I'm so excited about this kit. I've been dying to show this off to you. Been waiting for, it seems like ages, just to bring this out. And I think it's worth it. I absolutely love this. I know I've spoiled the review for you already. I absolutely adore this kit. Has to be said though, a couple of disclaimers. Even though I don't have any financial stake in Multipick, they're not sponsoring me or anything. This isn't a paid endorsement. I did actually design these 4 rakes, which form the majority of the working part of the pick set. So it's hard for me clearly to be that objective about this kit. That being said, I try to be as honest as I can with my reviews. And when I say I really like this set, I'm super proud of it, that you can take as the absolute truth. So what do you get in this kit? Well, you get 2 picks which you may be familiar with and already might even have. That being said, you can never have enough. These are the Monith and the Abona. Let me just show you the writing on the picks here. And I'll go into how these came about in a second and what they try to do, but these are basically multi-peak height rakes. They have modulating peak heights as binary peaks there in 2 different heights. And these came out and they were really popular. People seem to really love them, and I do as well. And I use them in my everyday picking. And what I thought I'd do is actually make some other profiles with those modulating amplitudes on the rake peaks. But this time what I'd do is, instead of basing it off the classic snake rake and city rake and just making them more versatile and dynamic, I would add an extra peak. That would do 2 things, and I'll probably repeat myself later on in the video. But one is it extends the rake for those locks where you just need to have a longer rake. But it also provides you with a tall peak at the tip with a low peak behind it, which actually allows you to better use this as a hook or a half diamond, if you will, in the lock, which gives you even greater versatility and greater dynamics for these rakes than even the Monith and the Abona. And these ones are called the Telu and the Druim. So I have the Druim here and the Telu here. So there we go. We have the Monith, Druim, Abona and Telu rakes there. I'll just get them in the right order. You'll also notice that there is a pick here as well, just a hook. And I really wanted to include this in the set. It's one of my favourite multi-pick hooks, which is the PN06. And first of all, if you've got some rakes, that's great, and you can rake open a ton of locks with these naturally. But there's just some of those occasions where you will want to have a short hook. It's the hook most people go to first when they're picking a lock. And it could be that you want to do some hybrid picking, or you just want to do single pin picking. And it just felt like it would really round off the set if it was in there and be incredibly useful. And of course, we've got a whole load of tension tools here. 6 different tension ends on 5 different tension tools. All different widths and thicknesses. Let me just grab these up. I can sort of show you those profiles the best I can all together. You can see the range here and the other end. There's a mixture of sort of twisted ones as well, and you know, thinned ones and straight ones. Basically a load of versatility for bottom of the keyway tension to give you the room you need to get your rakes into the lock. That being said, the little case that they give you here can take any number of extra tension tools should you wish to add them, and of course it's that really nice high quality multi-pick leather case. The only other thing to say is, just like all the other multi-pick picks I've ever had, the finish on them out of the pack is superb. Let's see if we can get a bit of focus on there. You know, when I'm showing you that close straight out of the pack with no polishing or sanding, you can see really just how good these are straight out of the pack. And of course they're made of that wonderful multi-pick steel as well. So yeah, right, let me go through these picks sort of one by one, do a bit of a demo, and then sum up at the end. So let's start with the monolith, which, as you may already know, here's the monolith there, is based on a classic snake rake, but with greater difference in amplitude between these modulating peak heights. So you can see here that it's just a slightly more extreme version of the snake rake with a more defined first peak, which again should make it more versatile in some locks. Let's just choose a simple lock to begin with a bitting where you've got lows at the front, lows at the back, and some higher cuts in the middle. So you might want something that's more able to just get between those low pins to pick the higher pins, just like this. So here is the Abona. See the name there, and this was designed to really be a more dynamic and more versatile variant of a classic pick, the city rake. You can see how the highs and lows are sort of aligned on this, so you can see that the difference in amplitudes of these peaks is much greater than the standard one, but it gives you that same pattern and therefore just that extra versatility. It means, of course, that you can still go in and use it as a rake that you might do in Euro cylinders like this. This is a nice 6-pin one with security pins, and we'll have a go at just showing how powerful this can be raking this lock. Very light tension, and there we go. So here we are, a very typical Euro cylinder with a reasonable bitting, lots of spool pins inside it as well, some good security pins, lows at the front, highs at the end, and I'm going to be using the Tailu here, which has a nice long rake head, lots of ups and downs, and some light tension. We're going to just rake it. If we can't pick it all the way, we're just going to rake it into a bit of a falset, which I think we're in a falset already. Now, a couple of things we can do when we're in one of these falsets. The first of which is we can use the hook which comes in here to try to find any pins which we think are unpicked and just need to be set. So I can feel it's pin 5 and we haven't opened. That's called hybrid picking. So that's why we also include this really nice Elite PN06 pick. Very cool. Because these new rakes, including the Tailu, have a peak at the end and only a small peak between these two large peaks, you can use this tip here to better single pin pick some of the pins inside the lock. So what we'll do is go back to this lock, we'll try to get it into a falset again, but then use the tip of this pick, which is absent on the Abona, to have a go at setting the final pins. Rake to a falset, get under pin 5 at the back, gently lift, cancel rotation, there we go, and give it a little rake and we are open. So there we were using the tip of this rake to just set the very high pin, there we go, right at the back of the lock. So what we're doing essentially is getting under it and lifting that, and because we don't have a high peak here, you can see that even though this difference between this low cut and this high cut is quite extreme, we still can get under there and not overset the pin before it. So this extra peak at the end does allow you to better manipulate some of those pins that you need to pick if you can't rake it straight away. Here's another lock we can look at, which has a pretty odd and extreme bitting in its own way, and definitely worth a pick. Again, going to use the Tailu here. Just go in with some very light tension on this lock and see if we can't rake it into a bit of a falset. Got to use the lightest of tension. I think we're in a falset now. And then try to just use the, again, tip of the pick to pick that last pin. So just using this last peak to pick the last pin. It's sort of hybrid picking, but using the same tool instead of swapping to the pick. That being said, some people prefer to use a hook rather than just the rake for hybrid picking, so let's try and get ourselves back into that false set. Oh, well, we got an open that time. Let's try that again, but try to get ourselves into the false set. So back into a false set. I think we're there. Try and pick that remaining pin if I can. There we go, got an open. And last but certainly not least, we have the drum. If you compare it to the new Tailu, you can see that it again has a peak at the end which you can use to single pin pick. It also gives you more variety in terms of all of the other rakes in the set. So if you put these together, you can see that you have really a rake for every occasion, every depth of keyway and every situation. So this lock has a very deep keyway despite only having 5 pins, and some reasonable bitting again with some lows, highs, lows and highs. But nevertheless, we're going to actually just try to use the drum to give it a rake, just with some light tension, and see where we get to. So there we go. The Monith, the Drum, the Abona and the Tailu, along with one of the best picks you can get, this lovely short hook, just provides such a versatile and strong package for a pick and rake combination. Hopefully you can see how useful these profiles are. You know, obviously you can choose one for a particular lock, or you might want to cycle through these rakes in turn to find out which one works best in which lock. And even if you just get into a false set, you have that short hook there, or the new high peaks at the end of these two rakes to help you set those remaining pins. So yeah, a really, really fantastic set, and I had a brilliant time working with Multipick, trying to get all these out so we can all have a go at them.